Hello and welcome to 2024's Replay Rendezvous. For those of you that don't know what Replay Rendezvous is, which it would be everybody since this is my first video, it is me going over all of the games that I've played in the past year, giving my thoughts on them, if I'll keep playing them, if I recommend them to you, stuff like that. For this video we have, I believe it is 22 different unique games that I have played this year, and that I'll be going over. I won't make each game section too long because I don't want to drag anything out or make it boring and repetitive, so I'm going to try and keep this all nice and concise. If you want a full list of all of the games that I played, I'll put it in the description with timestamps, but I hope you enjoy this and take notes. I'm going to try and keep this in kind of chronological order of how I played these games this year, with a few exceptions to that because I came back to games. But we're starting off strong with God of War, the 2018 edition, but I did play it on the PS5. Overall, I enjoyed the game. I played it while my girlfriend watched me, and even though she doesn't play games, she loved it. She loved the story. I love the combat. It was an overall good experience, and I would recommend this to anybody that owns a PlayStation. I'm pretty sure it's out on Steam as well, so if you have a computer, you should also just play it. It wasn't as impactful to me as some of the other games on this list, but I remember watching it when it came out, and I watched Jacksepticeye go through it, but getting to play it for myself was just a whole new experience that I really grew to appreciate. Oh boy, do I have a few things to say about this game, but putting all personal emotions and some unbridled fury aside, For Honor is in a very unique state at the moment, I think. It's fun to play with friends every once in a while, but I've learned that if you keep playing it for too long, you will start to get so unimaginably mad at it that it almost isn't worth playing. I had around, I think, a 2-month period twice this year that I played it with some friends, and both times it was fun, but I found that during the end of that time, I just kept getting more frustrated with the game. And I think that's due to some major balancing issues between the characters, especially some of the newer ones. But if you're looking for a challenging and pretty in-depth medieval fighting game, this game is definitely for you. The customization as well is very top tier. Other than that, I don't have much to say on it, but I warned you, and good luck. Baldurs Gate 3. This game is definitely one of my favorites on the list. I think that it absolutely deserved Game of the Year in 2023 when it got it. Its story is phenomenal, with the choices you can make and how each and every decision impacts some part of the story in some way. The creativity in which you can play it, the freedom it gives you. The multiplayer is surprisingly great for a story game as well. A couple buddies and I played through Honor mode, and that was definitely one of the most exciting playthroughs I did. I also played through a Dark Urge playthrough, which I think I prefer to the normal playthrough, as it gives your character kind of their own character arc and their own story, apart from just being the player insert. Overall, I think the gameplay, the story, the music, everything about this game is perfect to me, and I couldn't recommend a game more. If you have a computer and I think $60, go play this game, please. I'm begging you. HellDivers 2, in my opinion, is a phenomenal co-op PvE shooter game. It is what I think it should be. It is equally fun to, do the objectives, fight with your friends, as it is to sabotage them and just ruin the match for them. Something about shooting the bugs and the automatons and now the Illuminate, which have just recently come out as making this video, it's just so satisfying, and it's a fun that you can't get anywhere else. The explosions are just dramatic. Everything is dramatic. It is just such a lively game. If there are any complaints that I do have about it, it is the fact that it is a paid game with microtransactions inside of it. I think that if you pay for a game, you should get everything included. If it was a free-to-play, I would understand, but it's not. And if that turns you away from the game, that's perfectly fine. But I would still recommend it, and it is the best to play with friends. Minecraft is kind of like that kid growing up that was around your age in the same neighborhood, so your parents force you to be friends, and at first you're kind of iffy about it, but you eventually grew a very strong bond, and that would turn out to be a lifelong bond. It's a game that you can always come back to and just be comfortable with and understand it, which is exactly what my friends and I did this year. We all started up a realm, which started normally, as they all do, and eventually just turned into us living in the end secretly for about 2 weeks. But that's the fun of Minecraft, is that you have so many options and just so infinite possibilities in what you can do. I won't drag on about Minecraft. You all know it and probably like it. But if you haven't played it already, somehow, go out there and play it. Unlike Minecraft, I would be pretty shocked to learn if a lot of you know about Legendary Tales. It's a VR game that a buddy and I first started playing around, I believe, 2 years ago. Before its major update, it used to be a roguelike kind of dungeon crawler. But after the update, it's more RPG, story, and linear based. Which isn't a bad thing, it's just different. It's a game that him and I both instantly fell in love with, and it's got such unique concepts and gameplay that's all around really fun and well thought out. Its progression system is really simple and straightforward, which I can really get behind, because a lot of the times you have some really overcomplicated things in these games that you just don't need. So if you own a VR and you love medieval type games or fantasy games, then I think you should give this one a try. Elden Ring is one of those once-in-a-lifetime games you get to play. I remember starting it back when it came out, completely new to the Souls series, and I leveled out my stats. And you hate to say it, but I completely leveled them out, and I was wondering why the game was so difficult for me. Turns out I was playing it entirely wrong, and I didn't even know that until this year. Playing it this year has been so much fun, whether it was by myself on New Game Plus 5, or if it's by the multiplayer mod I put in, the DLC that came out this year, everything about it was just so much fun no matter how much I died. It's a really challenging game, but once you get past whatever obstacle you're facing, you're met with such pride in yourself. If anybody out there is on the fence about playing a Souls game like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, but you're too scared that it'll be hard, at the end of the day, it's still a game that's meant to be played and beaten. And as long as you play it and keep to it, I know that you can get past whatever boss you're stuck on. But with that, I really, really recommend you play Elden Ring. If I had to choose one game to be my favorite game of all time, I would have to give it to Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. And it's for a multitude of reasons. It's probably a big nostalgia factor in the fact that I'm pretty sure it was the first game that I ever played. It was because my dad showed me it. So growing up with Zelda games, I've grown to really love that fantasy medieval style. Twilight Princess has a really, really special place in my heart with the fact that its art style and story and its gameplay are all, to me, I'm very biased, but to me they're very good. I know it's my favorite game of all time, but I will spare you my hour-long talk and rant that I want to have about it, and I'll try and get to the next game as fast as possible. But just know that this game is amazing in every single aspect. And if there is any game at all, any Zelda game, this is the one that I recommend, and I highly hope that you play it. I've been a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII for the longest time, and so when I saw that Rebirth was coming out this year, I already knew that it was going to get my Game of the Year vote. Sadly for me, it did not win this year, but I still think that it was a tremendous game and that you should play it if you get the chance. I'm glad that it won the music award, I believe it was, for the best soundtrack, because this music is just phenomenal. What I found really stunning about this game was the visuals and how pretty everything was. You would go to any kind of area, whether it be a desert area or a forest or a cityscape, everything was just gorgeous. It follows a similar combat pattern to the first game, but only it improves on everything. The synergy moves that were new to this game were extremely fun to pull off, and I always look forward to unlocking a new one. The story kept me engaged through the entire game. And while a lot of people are upset with the ending, I thought it was a great ending and how it left so many questions still, because it somewhat diverged from the original game. But like I said, if you have the chance to play this game now that it's coming out on PC, I would definitely give it a shot, because if you like story games, I guarantee you'll love this one. Let's just get right into this one. I absolutely loved Dark Souls 3. Oh my god, it's such a good game. My first ever Souls game was Elden Ring, and then a friend of mine said that he wanted to play Dark Souls, and I've always heard of Dark Souls, but I never watched anything about it. And then he played it, and he told me just how good it was, and that it's now one of his favorite games of all time. And so I was like, you know what, sure, I'll give it a shot. And I didn't expect to like it nearly as much as I did. The boss design, the map design, the music, the weapons, everything about it was just such a cool theme to me. I loved it. I loved all of it. I'm sure you've heard how difficult it is, and honestly, I found it a lot easier than Elden Ring, but maybe that's just because I used the greatsword, who knows? I don't know. I probably will do another playthrough of it eventually. I don't have too much to say other than that. If you're thinking about trying out Dark Souls, I would absolutely go for it. I've been playing Destiny 2 for a couple years now, and I have a handful of hours in it. But the most interesting thing to me is that I've been playing it for so long, and yet I feel so indifferent about it. I just don't have any feelings for it. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I do feel like some of the game decision choices they've made have been pretty bad. For instance, taking away a lot of the DLCs I think was weird. I don't really agree with that because I paid for them and then you lock some of the content behind them. It's like, all right, that's kind of weird, you know. But overall, the month or two I think that I played it, I did have fun. I beat a couple raids of Crota's End, if you know what that is, which it was the second raid ever I have done. But I don't have much to say on it. So if you want to give it a try, you can. It's free to play, but I wouldn't advise buying any DLC from it. Sorry, Destiny, but unlike Destiny 2, Blade and Sorcery is a game that I have been playing for years, and I have loved every single bit of it. I don't think there's been a single point in Blade and Sorcery's update history or playing history that I've disliked the game. It's always been an all-around good VR game. It's got some of the best fighting physics I've seen. Even Legendary Tales earlier in the video, I think, doesn't have as good of combat as Blade and Sorcery does. Everything it is just so in-depth. Blade and Sorcery now, with their most recent update and full release, has 2 game modes, one of which is a sandbox, and the other is a progressive story. And surprisingly, I think they do both perfectly for what they're meant to be. If you have a VR and a computer, or just a standalone Quest VR, I highly suggest checking this game out. You know, I'm actually really disappointed in this entry, which is No Rest for the Wicked. I was really looking forward to playing this game because I just love the art style and it's a Souls-like. I love Souls games. And it looks so fluid and it's just a beautiful looking game, but it would not run. I couldn't even get my own footage because it kept crashing. And even when I did play it, I didn't make it that far because the audio kept cutting out, and apparently people have been having that issue for a year or so. I would love to revisit the game if they ever fixed it, but right now, at least for me, it's in an unplayable state. And that makes me so sad. Revisiting GTA 5 is always just so much fun for me and my friends. We almost always get a heist or two done every couple of months, and I think some of my best clips and hardest laughs come from either crashing my own motorcycle or crashing into my friend's motorcycle. The game almost never gets old because there's just always something to do. That something that you need to do seems to always be changing. And I think that's something that they nailed down, was longevity. Needless to say, I'm excited for GTA 6 coming out, who even knows when, but if you've ever seen GTA 5 before and you were thinking about giving it a try, I think you should, because it is great with friends. Taking a complete 180 from GTA 5, my girlfriend and I have started a Stardew Valley save in August, and currently we're halfway through year 3 in December, so needless to say we've been enjoying the game a lot. It's the perfect cozy game to settle down with after a hard day, or even just a lazy day. There's not much to say about it other than the fact that if you're looking for a cozy game, it is the cozy game. It is currently the middle of December as of recording this video, and I've been playing Monster Hunter since September, yet I've already put in around 150 hours of gameplay. I tried the game a few other times beforehand, and I never liked it, but my friend who loves the game kept trying to get me to play it with him, and I'm glad that I caved because this has become one of my favorite games of all time. As much as it frustrates me at times, it is so much fun just fighting these huge monsters with these overdramatic weapons like the Charge Blade or the Great Sword. I even sprinkled in some Wilds gameplay for you if you're a fan of the series, which I am super excited about that coming out in February. Overall, the game, it can kind of play like a Souls game where it's very challenging at times. But that just means that the payoff for finally slaying that monster you're stuck on is so much greater. If you've tried getting into Monster Hunter before, or if you've been thinking about it, and you've just been turned away, I say give it another chance because I did, and I do not regret it one bit. Now hold on, I know what you're thinking. Ugh, I've really been listening to this guy when at the end of the video he tells me he's played League? Ugh. Now listen, hear me out before you click away or whatever. The game is a lot more fun when you disable the chat box. I am a firm believer that League is actually a pretty fun game with a terrible community. And that it's terrible because this happens to a lot of games. I'm seeing it happen recently with Marvel Rivals even. That game just came out and already the people in it are just so toxic to one another. It's really disheartening to see when you try and get on for a game and then everyone is just bad mouthing each other, and it makes the game less enjoyable. And I think that's a big reason as to why people don't like League and they associate it with bad things. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and play it, of course. I play it very casually. I mean, I am not good at the game at all, but I played it for quite a bit this year, so I felt it deserved a spot on the list. If you have any sort of interest in it, and you're just scared of people thinking that you're weird or stupid for playing it, then I just say give it a shot, because, you know, worst is you don't like it, and that's okay. Alright, only a few more left now, and that is because these are the games that I am still playing, which means that I can't give a super full opinion because I haven't played through them all or haven't played enough to make a solid opinion, but I will tell you what I think of them right now. So first we have Dragon's Dogma 2. I really like the theme of this game so far, and I also think the combat is super fun and super engaging. The story is not that bad so far. I haven't really gotten far into the story at all. I focused a lot of side quests, but those side quests that I focused have been very fun. This pretty much falls in the same medieval fantasy category, which you'll find a lot of these games do. But it falls in that category, so if you like those kinds of games, you like RPGs, then this is a really good game for you, and I suggest that you watch a video on it before you get it, but it is probably going to be something that you'll like. Another friend of mine was playing Chivalry 2 one day, and he was telling me about it, and I thought that it might be kind of like a different For Honor, because I'd only ever played For Honor at that point. To my surprise, it is so much funnier than I thought it would be. The amount of times that I just started dying laughing after getting hit in the head with a random object and dying. It is a really, really good game to play with your friends and just dick around. So if you're looking for For Honor but a little more easygoing, this is definitely your game. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I've been having fun with Marvel Rivals recently. The only downside I have for it is the fact that it's been getting even more toxic and toxic as hero shooters usually do. But The game mechanics, I think all the heroes are super fun to play. The art style is amazing. The music is very good, shockingly, for a shooter game. I used to play Overwatch, and I grew very sick of that game. Just, I don't even know why, but it got stale for me. And this is kind of reigniting that. Not for Overwatch, but for this game. If you're into hero shooters and you like Marvel, this game was practically made for you. Plenty of good characters to choose from. I hear they're adding a ton more soon. Like before, just be wary of the people that you meet, and it might be worth turning off your text box. Other than that, I think it's a great game. And with that, that just about wraps up 2024's Replay Rendezvous. For those of you that watched the entire video and stick through to the end, I really appreciate that, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you maybe learned something about some of these games. But for those of you that just skipped through, that's also fine, you know? Games are a very big passion of mine, and I wanted to share that with everybody. And I think that this was a really good way of doing that, and so I hope I get to do this every year. And I hope that you will look forward to it next year. But until then, happy holidays, or whatever time of year it is. Just have a good day to you, and I will see you next time.